You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic.
You are now tapped in with Hood in the Morning.
Do you think that all the lessons could be because you're not living the life you're supposed to live? Maybe you're not doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in order to feel successful in this lifetime, and maybe that the lessons that you think are actually the universe torturing you or the universe trying to get you to finally feel so fucked up in a pattern that you've been repeating that you want to do better for yourself. And not do better as in make better decisions and make better choices with the job. No, I'm talking about quitting the job and finally going backpacking across the country like you've been wanting to do because that's actually your life purpose. Maybe the lessons aren't lessons. Maybe they're the universe trying to shock you so bad in your current circumstances that you're not supposed to be in that you feel like you have to free yourself and you finally go do what you were meant to do. But where is the money going to come from if I go backpacking across the world? Where is the money going to come from if I start my nail tech company? The universe has been in act for the past... Actually, human beings don't even have the right numbers for it. And you think that something that old is misguiding you.
They don't want you to know this. What if I told you there's a hidden library that holds everything from the past, present, and future? It's called the Akashic Records. Imagine a database where every thought, action, and experience of every soul is recorded. The Akashic Records exist on a non-physical plane known as the etheric plane. And according to recent scientific research, our universe has been found to show elements of existing as a giant hologram, with every bit of information encoded in the fabric of space-time. But it gets even deeper. The records hold the secrets to advanced technologies and forgotten knowledge. Could this be how the ancient Egyptians built their pyramids? as so many ancient civilizations seem to have wisdom far beyond their time. The Akashic records are said to be accessed through deep meditation, specific spiritual practices, and sometimes when dreaming. People who have accessed these records claim to have a deeper understanding of their purpose in life. The records are talked about by the ancient Egyptians, Mayans, Indians, Greeks, and the ancient Sumerians. They all speak of the concept of a universal record-keeping system.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
Lord, 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 nothing I did, nothing I tried, nothing I smoked, nothing I snorted, nothing I drank, no man I did, no one did me, nothing did me any good. Oh Lord, even that food, the food I put in my mouth wouldn't help me, Lord.
Everybody dies, but not everybody lives.
Time to tap in now. You are traveling with the Hood Mystic. Time to tap in now. You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic. Your favorite mystic's favorite mystic. Your favorite astrologer's favorite astrologer.
And peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. We here for another video. Just want to say thank you to all the baby mamas, baby daddies, grandmas that's take care of the kids while the mamas and daddies at work. We appreciate you here at Hood Mystic YouTube channel. I'm here just to provide some spiritual insight, some enjoyment, some education. Hopefully you've been drinking your tea, been drinking your water, staying hydrated without being high, things of that nature. Man, give yourself a round of applause if you're present and you hear and you in the spiritual truth of existence, not in the matrix, but because goddamn, the matrix, they got a problem with us, man. Man, if you under spiritual attack, just understand this is the place where you learn how to fight back, right? But anyways, let's get into this conversation. No, but for real though, that's my background music. Throw these headies on. Getting the vibe, man. Is y'all in the vibe? One's in the chat if y'all can hear me all right. One's in the chat if we in the vibe. Let me get my seat together. Give me a second. Let's get into the conversation, man. Today we talking about the Akashic records. We talking about Aaliyah. We talking about Saturn, Trine, Mars, this transit. But before we get into that, I have a little bit of spiritual mumbo jumbo to spew along the airwaves. And all I want to say is that We are at war with a spirit. We are at war with a spirit, and you can't tell by how a person look, how a person act, because underneath the appearance, underneath the action, there is a reality that that person is not for you. And as a spiritual being, the enemy is going to send entities your way to destroy your spirit. You could be in this life thinking that you deserve to settle, that you deserve to be berated, to be down, to not be assisted. But understand that's a demonic attack against your spirit. And this is the way that it is set up. It is very biblical, right? It's very ancient. The mythology is we were born androgynous, we were born masculine and feminine, and our sexual organs were inward. And you saying our sexual organs was inner, that don't make sense. Well, there is a science that before men existed, the world was just all women. One's in the chat if y'all ever heard that before. Before men was created, there was a world where there was all women. One's in the chat if y'all ever heard that. Not to get too deep, but to get deeper than that. You feel me? Not to get too deep, but to get deeper than deep. One's in the chat if you ever heard in the history of education, there was once a time where on this planet there was nothing but women. So I'm not the only fool that heard that before. So if this was true, then that would mean that the sexual organs are internal. The sexual organs are all on the inside at one point in time. But even though the sexual organs were inside of you, that didn't mean that you could procreate. So this means that there was a point in time where human beings existed on the planet as humans, masculine and feminine, but with no outer sexual experience, something like a lizard or a fish, right? And then something happened where the mythology is simply that, let me see if I can find a tab. Just spewing some hot mumbo jumbo, you know what I mean? One's in the chat for hot mumbo jumbo, it don't matter, right? It's not real. Motherfuckers was lying to us the whole time. Here we go. Let me get that queued up. Let me go over here. Present. Man, make sure y'all like the video. That helps everything be what it's supposed to be. I need to share a screen. Then I need to go to Zeus. All right. Let me see. I got it queued up. Let me get out of some of this shit. So on this screen, you will see in Greek mythology, Zeus split human beings in half to punish them for being selfish and vain and to prevent them from becoming a threat to the gods. So what was Zeus's plan? Zeus's plan was to split humans in half to weaken them. Okay. This is the hot garbage mumbo jumbo that I'm talking about. You know, You know how people be acting like they about to say some real shit, and it be some shit that's like, all right, I don't care. Whatever you talking about. Right? But my thing is this. One's in the chat if you ever wanted to be in a relationship before. No. Two in the chat if you never thought to be in a relationship ever in your life. Like you never even pondered it. You knew you was gonna be solo dolo. You ain't want nobody to squeeze your booty and tell you good game, coach. Two, if you never thought of that. One in the chat if you ever just wanted to be in a relationship. Win, lose, or draw, you tried that shit out. Because I'm wondering how rare it is for a human being to sit in this life and just want to be by yourself. Because when you start talking about relationships, people will be online like, you always want to talk about that relationship shit, hood. We don't care about that relationship shit. We want to get our finances together. We trying to get our money on together. We don't care about that relationship stuff. Once in the chat, if you ever wanted to fall deeply in love with somebody, experience bliss on the opposite side of the spectrum. Because the energy is this. If you don't understand that you are half a person, then you're not even going to try to become a better person. When you think that you're going to do this thing by yourself, if you think you're going to do this by yourself, see, man, we can get our heart broken. We can be under demonic attack. We can be under all of these particular things. We could, relationship didn't work out. But the reality is this. Without even thinking about it, you're going to try to get into another relationship after your heart broke because it's something inside of us that are seeking the other side of us, because the other side of us is the other side of us. That other person is you. You are that other person. So the demonic attack is on casual sex. The demonic attack is if I take you out to eat at enough times, I should get some ass, right? The demonic attack is that, he got a lot of money. He look good. His shoes is dirty. He drive a nice car. He my husband. But is he you? She looked nice. She light skinned. Oh, did I say that out loud? That's the quiet part out loud. She got a nice body. She this. But is that person you? Is that person you? Right? And that's really the game. And another thing is when I was reading about the Akashic records. I was reading about just, I just been on this spiritual journey. And one thing that stuck out to me was that sex is not God's intention. God's intention was for us to be whole, to be one. But the demonic entities have split us apart. And now people are utilizing sex in a way that's not even reference to development. Having babies, diseases, and then also not being able to have spiritual conversations. The reason why this channel talks about sex and studying the tree of life and understanding your side, which is the foundation of your spiritual life, which takes place in the sexual organs, is hard for people to even get a clear mind, a clear understanding of who they are spiritually, because they spend so much time either wanting sex or having sex outside of, you know, because if you look at the Bible, the first story is Adam and Eve and them being one, or them having some form of a union. And then the serpent comes, and then they have a union with the serpent. And this is more of, and it actually creates a baby, which is Cain. And Cain is a murderer. So when you look at sex outside of your proper spiritual foundation, which there is no real reason for a person to actually do it outside of I want to do it, right? The same way it's like I want to just kiss everybody on the mouth. So I'm gonna walk down my street and go door to door and kiss everybody on the mouth. Nobody does that, but the same would like nobody should have sex based upon what they want to do, especially what it's connected to. So with all this being said, not like I care, but in reference to being whole, understanding yourself, a lot of it is hard to find because the sex and the spiritual demonic entities and energies control this domain, especially nowadays with the what do you call that, online dating. And you can't even really feel a person's energy in real life no more. uh, this whole generation is more or less not even knowing how to relate to one another. So when you spend that amount of time being lonely, you're being separated from your greater half. This lower frequency, it allows the demons to enter into your body in all different levels of your chakras, and then ultimately dictates and rules every move that you make. But once again, you don't get to understand how deep the illusion rabbit hole goes until you begin to illuminate your soul. So I look at this as very serious. That's why I'm taking the time to talk about it. But also, I don't want to kind of harp on it too much. Maybe switch gears, maybe it be in alignment. But we also have the ability to tap into the Akashic records. And so a lot of the things that I'm talking about is going to be hard to access it, because when you're really heartbroken, right? And it ties into the word record, heart, right? When your heart is broken, it's very hard for you to focus on anything else. It is the thing that takes over your mind. It is the thing that takes over your awareness, your consciousness. So, with all this being said, um, learning how to, I guess in the article, I did write an article for this video that we're having, trying to formulate a clear of what I did actually, because it's not to say that I don't go through this too, a broken heart. Learning how to peel back the layers of consciousness, thoughts, memories, and emotions, especially like when you're trying to meditate and lay down and go to sleep, or wherever you're trying to like get into a relaxed state of mind. What tends to happen is that the relationship troubles of the past, the mistakes of the past, it could just be any random thing from any random year, and I'll just start reflecting on it, and I might feel sad or, fearful, just in a space of having a negative emotion. And in that, it might take me away from my meditation. It might take me away from my relaxation. So with all of this being said, what I did was I just, whatever I was thinking, whatever I was feeling, I just peeled it back like an onion and I just threw it away. At any point where I felt any form of negative emotion, I just peeled back until I got to the center, until I got to the wholeness, to the light. And then that's where I began to meditate and really feel some shifts in my awareness. And at this time, I was getting a lot of downloads. So, in this article, in this video, we're going to be talking about the Akashic records. And the Akashic records are related to Aaliyah because Aaliyah played a character called Akasha in the movie The Queen of the Damned. The Queen of the Damned was a movie about vampires, but the vampires made their way to the recording industry. And they were the best group in the, fictional story. The vampires were the artists. And there was a queen vampire named Akasha where all of the vampires had came from. And so no matter what year it was, whether we're talking about Egyptian or we were talking about the present, the entities or the vampires were just, 20 to 30 years old. They were always in their prime. So, one's in the chat if you ever seen Queen of the Damned or know anything about Akasha, stuff like that. But anyways, and make sure you like the video if you haven't. So, anyways, the overall gist of it is this. The recording artists, especially the big recording artists, like even in the word record, you are remembering a tone, a frequency, a sound, a talent, an ability that you had in a previous life, and you're bringing that into the present world. So the main part of a recording artist is that they're a spiritual being having a human experience. The good ones, the great ones, I'm not just talking about anybody that's like opening up Fruity Loops and making a song on BandLab, but I'm talking about the Michael Jacksons, the Aaliyahs, the Jay-Z's. They are recording artists, so they are dealing with their cosmic memory because chord, right, is coming from the word cordis, but it just means heart. But the heart is a metaphoric seat of memory, right? So the Akashic records for anybody and everybody is an ability to go within yourself, see your talent, skills, and abilities of a past life self, and bring it forth in this time, and hopefully and eventually make some money, right? Change the world, do what you need to do. But at a certain point, are you basing your life on the talent that you've accumulated in this lifetime? Or are you relating who you are as a talented person in relation to who you are as a past life spiritual being? And if you have no idea of what talents and skills and abilities that you have from a past life, you can meditate upon your soul, meditate upon the Akashic records to figure these talents out. So once again, it could be something as simple as you go into sleep, because a lot of times people want to make this stuff very hard, very difficult. And the reality is that it is not very hard. It's not difficult at all. It's actually very simple. It is just the fact that our foundation, our sexual energy is being frazzled dazzled because a girl had broke our heart, because a boy had broke our heart. One's in the chat if you ever got your heart broke before, right? If you had your heart broke before, then everything you think about, everything you feel could possibly be to protect yourself from ever feeling that ever again. So understanding that the healing and the mending of the heart chakra by infusing the body with spiritual energy, grounding yourself into your root chakra, right? Something that, you might not ever do, but walking outside barefooted, putting your feet by roots, meditating upon the roots, like really releasing those negative ions out of your body is going to charge your actual body, and it'll give you a grounded reality that will then allow you to start altering and working through some of those emotions, right? Clearing out some of those old files, having the wisdom, the intuition to know that maybe I've grown, maybe I've matured past that. Sometimes you could have beaten yourself up so much that when you charge your body, when you activate your root chakra, you will begin to think about it in a different way. And if you develop a different mindset about something that you've been beating yourself up on, you'll feel better and you'll start to do different things. So, once again, when you talk about accessing the Akashic records, and we talk about Aaliyah, who is a recording artist, Queen of the Damned is actually telling you the reality of why they took her out in the movie and why they took her out in real life, because she was Akasha, right? She was the Akashic record. She was the memory. And so, because of that, what happened after Aaliyah transition? Who ascended to stardom after Aaliyah? Who was just a regular R&B girl, just trying to make it in life. Now all of a sudden, she is the queen bee, right? So you got to begin to look at these things. What is Beyonce? Beyonce is a recording artist. So what are they recording? They are remembering past life truths. So there could be a vault of her energy that they take and utilize and bring forth, like in the movie The Shining or in the movie Doctor Sleep. Okay. So, once again, we're talking about being able to remember our past lives. Nobody can do this for you. If they say they can do it for you, it's like a 80% chance that they're lying, a 20% chance that is true. But even that 20% chance, it has to kind of be looked at differently, because that 20% is just not you. Right? They don't know. Like they can't go through each and every one of your actions, emotions, thoughts, and behaviors and deduce a reasoning or a real observation. So they'll just say, you were a queen in Egypt at one point in time. You were a pharaohess. You were a priestess of Amun Ra looking ass motherfucker, just lying to you. If you want to know who you are in the past life, begin to peel back the layers. That's the easiest way I can describe it. Peel back the layers of thoughts, emotions, everything that you're going through in this life. It has to be unimportant. One's in the chat if that makes sense. One's in the chat if we can get to the nitty gritty of that concept. Okay. So today we're going to talk about one specific transit. We're going to talk about two specific constellations and two specific planets because they enter into an exact trine today. So when I'm studying astrology, you could talk about a lot of different things. I try to have a clear and concise conversation. And I want to relate it to the sidereal astrology to align the planets to their fixed stars. It's a more accurate understanding. And when we talk about accuracy, this is what we mean: the state of being extremely precise or exact, a conformity to truth. Okay. So we want to be aligned with truth. And the reality is that accuracy is not exact, right? Accuracy is not exact, but it's better than being correct. Because when a person says that you're correct, somebody have already punished them. Like, the to be correct is to not be wrong, right? But to be accurate is just to conform with truth. So I don't care about being right or wrong. I just want to be truthful. And when you study astrology, you can study Western astrology and you can study Vedic astrology. You can study up to 100 different astrologies. So what I've been led to is sidereal, and I will teach and speak on sidereal, even though it's not the most popular. I feel that is the most accurate and the most truthful. So the two planets that we're going to be talking about is Saturn and Mars. Saturn is going to be trine Mars. So usually when you have a trine, you have energies that are in the same element that are communicating. So this begins to be something that is beneficial to the initial energies. So what energies are we talking about? We're talking about Mars, the energy of action, and Saturn, the energy of discipline. So that brings us back into accuracy. Because what is action without discipline? Action, so in a simple sense, action, because Mars, because we can do this, because we're here and we want to teach, right? That's the main thing. Mars is related to the sexual organs. Because if we was in Jamaica, we would be like, we would know automatically. We would be like, action, for real, right? We know what action is. You're getting some action. Action, right? You can have sex with anybody, in theory, but trying Saturn, trying Saturn, which is the planet of discipline, which is the planet of movement. You want to be going the right place. Because what Saturn would realize, Saturn, the planet of time, we don't have time to waste. So why have sex with a bunch of people? Why have sex with anybody? Let's have sex with the right person. Let's not just open up any business. Let's open up the right business. Let's not just start any endeavor. Let's not move into any old house. Let's move into the right house. So this is a good time to make a good decision. Now, why is this an auspicious time? Because we can always move into a house. We can always have sex. We can always, start a new business. But Saturn, it allows us to get a precise aim, a precise accuracy that if y'all ever seen Mariah Carey sing versus your uncle sing, they're both singing. They're both active in the act of singing, Mars. But Trine is Mariah Carey might have had a vocal coach that told her the difference between an A note and a B flat major. And the singer's like, well, Hood, what's a B flat major? I never heard of that note. Maybe you should Google that. Like, I don't know what that note is. But the point is, if you're being taught, if you're being disciplined, you're more prone to make the right action during this time. But say, for instance, you have been beat up, right? So, like, if Mars have been working its way through your chart and you haven't prepared for this aspect, and you just been acting, you just been fucking anybody, you just been trying to move into any old house, you've been just trying to do any old thing because you didn't understand that maybe you needed your tutelage, you needed time in the act to match in reference to your mindset. Once again, understanding your mindset, Aquarius and Gemini for that matter. But really, like, where is your mind at? Because if something has happened in reference to your Mars energy, a past relationship that's been toxic, it haven't been beneficial, then your Mars coming to Gemini, the choices that you've made have been examined in your mind. If you made a good choice, you like, damn, I'm so happy that I have this man in my life. I'm so happy I have this woman in my life. If you made a bad choice, you're looking at this situation like I don't even know where this man is at. Niggas like to, I mean, some women, there's an actual song called "She's a Runner, She's a Track Star." So you could be stressing about a girl that ain't even there. One's in the chat if that's some nasty work. Let me find out. Is y'all stressing about a partner that ain't even there to help you make it through life? Is that what's happening? Have you ever stressed over somebody that's not even in your life, don't even want to be in your life, but you thinking like, damn, why did I even fuck with that motherfucker in the first place? That's Mars and Gemini. Why did I make that decision? Trying Saturn. Oh, I needed some discipline. I should have waited. I should have been a little bit more patient because I jumped into it. And if I knew then what I know now, because now my mindset, I understand like Saturn and Aquarius would allow you to have perfect discernment during this moment. That discernment that you didn't have 3 months ago, 6 months ago. But how did you act in the past? So the Sabian symbols that I want to talk about in relation to Mars is going to be Gemini 19, which is archetypal wisdom. Tuning into archetypal wisdom. Every human being has the ability to figure out who they are at a spiritual, divine, master, perfect level. The issue is people are trying so hard to make it in this life. One's in the chat if that makes sense. And make sure you like the video if you do like the video. Shit, if you don't like the video, like it anyway. It's the best thing for the channel. Do you understand that within you is a perfect version of yourself? One's in the chat. We, the students of the mysteries, are just the latest in a long tradition of keepers of secrets. Esoteric wisdom has been kept alive since the earliest times when the original seed ideas were first brought into form by the process of empirical observation, intuition, and rational thought. I want to stop there because it is not spend anything on this page, and I need some help on this. One's in the chat. If you didn't see, you need to spend $1,000 for somebody to give you a Akashic record reading. One's in the chat. If it didn't say that you need to go to Peru for an ayahuasca retreat. You don't see that on there because you don't need that on there. All you need to do is observe the inner spiritual truth within yourself, act in accordance, but also journal and make sense of what's going on inside of you. Because nobody knows what you should be doing more than you. So when Mars enters Saturn, it's like, hopefully, it's a point in time where you can take full accountability for who you're supposed to be in this life. And if you have been the type of person that have been looking for help, the reality is that you are the help. You are the person that's supposed to help. But you need to have the power to do the experiments, i.e., rituals, to unlock those chakras, unlock that ancient wisdom that is within you. That's the real work. That's the real get down. But a person that's in a capitalist society, they more focus on charging your ass up. They more focus on getting money because they see that you green for real. They see that you just want to be down like Brandy. You just want a friend for real. You just want a hug. Motherfuckers is going to charge you $1,000 for a hug, for some friendship. One's in the chat. Niggas is going to charge you $5,000 for camaraderie, for somebody to be like, I see you. But at the end of the day, you're not going to know the work that's necessary, because the work that's necessary, it have been alive since the earliest times where there was no goddamn internet. How do we maintain spiritual energy without the internet? That is the question that I'm asking. Without doing all of this supercalifragilisticexpialidocious shit, how do we access what we need to access on a spiritual level before the internet? Well, one point is literature. Make sure you have your books. But another point is empirical observation, experimentation, ritual, intuition, rational thought, i.e., journaling. Humanity has not been given the blueprint. Let me get this shit right. Humanity has not been given the blueprint of its universal mind, but had to discover it in attempt to reveal it. The idea here is that the secrets were recorded and kept safe and available for the true seeker to uncover. I'm telling you, you're not even allowed to know if you think that a person has it and you don't. One's in the chat if that makes sense. One's in the chat if you heard what I just said. If you actually think I'm more spiritual than you, you're not even allowed. That thought is preposterous. How am I more spiritual than you? And if I took a deep breath and you said, Hood, you so spiritual, when you take deep breaths, I'm able to breathe. You wouldn't even be able to I'm trying to figure out a way to say this, but you wouldn't even be able to breathe. Let's just put it like that. I cannot be a better breather than you. And I know you're probably wondering, what am I talking about? But the spirit means breath. So this is the get down. This is the scam. This is the scam. This is spirit, directly from Latin, spiritus, a breathing. So you're saying this person is more spiritual than me. How could this person be more spiritual than you? That's saying this person can breathe better than me. For me, I can breathe. He breathes so good that I'm able to breathe. I don't even have to breathe. He can breathe for me. This person is cold. When you talk about life, it's your life. It's your breath. And all spiritual development comes from the understanding and overstanding of the breath, the science of the breath. This is why a Western mind, a human mind, is a certain level to experience that they kind of stop at. And then they just spiral out of control into their home and, what's on Netflix and voting for the president and trying to get a job in the economy. They go up and down, round and round in this crazy, chaotic world because the peace that comes from the breath, nobody can give you that. You can't. One's in the chat. I need help. I need help with this. One's in the chat. If you can't buy breaths. One's in the chat. If the breathing that you need, you never had to buy it. See, this is the skim. This is the scam. This is the flim. This is the flam. I'm not mad at nobody doing business. But we need to be able to understand when we talking about accessing our Akashic records, you can't buy that. Especially if you're not going to get into the science, because breathing is God, meditation, it all. Like, you have to clear your mind. Can y'all understand to get to a space of the reason why there's a market for readings, Akashic record readings, and things of that nature is because people refuse to clear their mind. They're so set on the fact that they are the person that their mom and dad created in this lifetime that they won't even give themselves the space to even conceive of who they actually are because they're not breathing. What I mean by breathing is focusing on the breath. You can't focus on the breath and focus on the fact that your baby mama ain't shit at the same time. It seems to be that if your heart is broken because you lost your job, you don't got no money, you need to get out of this situation or that situation, you will continue to recreate these situations because you haven't let them go. So the idea here is that the secrets were recorded and kept safe and available for the true seeker to uncover. Whether this record is or is not physical seems secondary. Well, once again, it's not physical. It's so real, it might feel or seem physical, but it's etheric. It's of the mind. And it is your duty, it is your necessity to access it, or you're going to get scammed out of your own money. If you don't know who you are, you just don't know who the fuck you are. There's no escaping because the internet and subscribing to people and liking videos or on Instagram or on Facebook is not going to absolve you from what people have been doing for millions of years. What have they been doing for millions of years? They've been going within themselves. One's in the chat. So why would you have a secret for fucking with a scam artist on YouTube to give you access to something that she don't even have access to? or he have access to. The secrets that you really want to figure out is who the fuck you are. And you can fool everybody, but you can't fool me. What you really want to know is who you are. That's what you really, really want to know. Because if you don't know that, why are you trying to figure out who built the pyramids and why did they build the pyramids? Who gives a fuck? Who are you? I don't know, but who built Stonehenge? Who gives a fuck? I don't know. I don't care. Do you know what Stonehenge really represents? Hood? No. Who are you? So Saturn in Aquarius represents a reward in heaven. And so if you put these two energies together, if you put Saturn on top of Aquarius, if you put Mars in the equation, access. So what is the reward when you access your Akashic records, which are coming from your mind? Gemini is an air sign. It represents the intellect. One's in the chat if that's a stream of consciousness that you can follow. Mars, the planet of action. What are you acting? You're acting towards your mind. What in reference to your mind? Well, your mind is a portal to what? Heaven. The Akashic records. How do you get to the Akashic records? Through your mind. Well, how do I get there through my mind? You have to release your ego and your emotions. You have to balance your root chakra and your sacral chakra to even get to the solar plexus, to even get to the heart chakra, to where you can begin to love unconditionally. Aquarius. Aquarius rules the 11th house. The 11th house rules society, communication in reference to the society. So once again, I could be talking to the community a bunch of mumbo jumbo, random shit, or I could try to help the community. Depending on if I was a carpenter, I would do videos about doing carpentry. Whatever I know how to do, I'm trying to share that because maybe that can help somebody. And when you act in accordance with your 11th house, with your Aquarius nature, part of it is a reward. That's why people do it. And the masters do it at a high level and they get millions of dollars and they'll say, well, how do you do that? I just help people. I just provide value. Everybody want to make money, but very few people want to provide value to people. People trying to figure out an angle to scam your ass. Because people don't understand the science of Aquarius. What is the science of Aquarius? Science of Aquarius is that everything encapsulated in the material world is spiritual. When you access the spiritual world, where do you access the spiritual world? Through the mind. Well, how do you get there from the mind? Because Aquarius is an air sign. Aquarius represents the intellect. So now we're talking about a mindset. You can have a mindset to say, I only care about me. One's in the chat, if you know people that they only care about their motherfucking self. And they might have money, they might have resources, they might have knowledge, they might can help a lot of people, but their mindset is, I only give a fuck about myself. But to be a master of the universe is to understand that we've all developed and grown through sharing of knowledge and information. I could almost guarantee everything that you've learned, everything that you've known have been from somebody that already have done it. Very rarely do we incept ideas purely from spirit. Even if we do, we might get a spiritual download. And the first thing we do is might check on Google or check on Twitter or check on TikTok to see if somebody referenced it before. So all I'm saying is that it's very difficult to siphon energy from the spiritual world. But yet and still, there's a lot of people who have presented a lot of knowledge and information just for you to access it and do the alchemy for your own self. Everything that we're talking about, everything that we've been afforded the ability to be having this conversation is because there have been other geniuses that have existed in this world that allowed us to buy a computer, allowed us to access Wi-Fi. I don't know how to create this shit. Somebody do. So with all this being said, and the person who created Wi-Fi technology, the people, they've all accessed it through the Akashic records. Because in a previous lifetime, they created, a telegraph. And they was like, got into this lifetime, and all of the knowledge that they had in reference to the telegraph, it was already in their DNA. So they just upped it to, okay, now we making a telecommunication device, and now we making a Wi-Fi, now we making a 5G router. All of this is information that's just carried from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. The same geniuses get born, and they continue to create and recreate. And what we tried to do, we tried to hold this through the modality of surnames. That's why people's last name would be, Walker, or because people used to be a walker, or this person's name was Cartwright because he used to write the cars. You know what I'm saying? More or less, the surname was in reference to Smith. These was the Smiths, the people who was the blacksmiths. So we tried to say, if you come from this family, this is what you do. But it kind of got confused. They couldn't really justify it when a Smith would have sex with a barber. You know what I mean? And now it's like, damn, what should I be? Should I be a haircut? Should I cut hair like my mama? Or should I be a blacksmith like my daddy? So, but then what if I want to sing? And so it's like, it used to be like that, but now we don't live in a time where you would assume that a person is doing the thing that his last name says. So ultimately, humans try to come up with these systems to try to say, all right, what are we supposed to do? Well, if you are a carter, you should just carry the carts. But in our soul, we feel like, nah, that ain't what I should do. So in reference to your life, in real time, your parents was probably like, when you get out of school, go to college. And when you go out of college, find a good job. One's in the chat. A lot of times we did that. But yet and still, you can't say that reward, that career was a reward. You got to go somewhere deeper. You got to go to somewhat much more abstract to figure out what your purpose is. And once again, we enter into the realm of Akasha. We enter into the realms of ether. We enter into the spiritual worlds. And so a lot of times you are being contacted and interface with people that have transitioned, and they're trying to communicate to you. How this shows up for me, I really don't like, I really hate it. But news stories. A lot of times the dead communicate with me. Right. And I'm like, man, it's like I try to avoid it. And sometimes I don't even be scared. I don't even think like, man, the world is coming to an end or no shit like that. But at a certain point, I'm just more realizing that when people transition, they don't die. They exist in the spiritual world until they reincarnate back into this world. And so for us that are raised Christian, for us that are raised Muslim, for us that are raised in the Christian Judaic system, we don't actually believe in reincarnation, nor do we believe in the spiritual world. We just only like understand ourselves to have either a good or bad life. But there's so much more to it when you begin to explore different religions and different cosmologies, such as the Hindu cosmology, where they enter a concept such as Akasha, representing ether, representing a space, a spiritual world where all things are recorded, all things are remembered, and all beings exist in their spiritual forms. And the space and size of the Akasha could be nothing or everything. Another way of looking at Akasha is everything. It is another thing that Akasha rules is time. So when you really look at existence, your life can change, it can alter if you can understand this concept of Akasha. Because if this is true, then we have to learn who we are by interfacing with Akasha, by interfacing with the spiritual world. And we find this within ourselves because the fifth element is an element that we are dealing with. And that fifth element, another concept of Akasha, is simply the jiva or the soul. So we are Akasha. How do I explain this? Aaliyah could be a human being, elite like Jesus. So God sent forth his only begotten daughter. So Jesus is a vessel, but within that vessel is the soul of God. So we might be looking at her as Aaliyah, but at a spiritual level, she is everything. But it's like a sensitive area, it's a sensitive space because the rules apply. Meaning that I could be a king of Zamunda and be dropped into the Sahara. The lion isn't going to stop eating my ass because I'm a king. So as a spiritual being, the demonic entities and energies aren't going to stop attacking you because of who you are. However, you must know who you are and direct your life accordingly based upon these just simple facts, these simple observatory realities that us as melanated Americans being taught Christianity as the only way to access God or the only way to access spiritual development, that we don't even read the text of other religions. So certain concepts such as the soul and its importance in our daily lives could be completely forgotten, i.e. the fifth element. We know even in our astrology charts, right? We deal with the four basic elements, but how do we identify that fifth element? The soul, the record. The record is within all of us is a memory of everything. You can remember every single thing. There is not a thing that have been forgotten in reference to the Akashic memory. But all you have to do is just simply remember it. And if you remember it, then who you think you are today, you're going to not even be in that space. And so one of these concepts that it opens you up to is the concept of the Bodhisattva. What are you here on life to do? You are here to educate, help, and heal other human beings find their souls. You are an ascended master. But if you do not remember that you are an ascended master, you're going to be sitting here talking about, I hate my baby dad. Fuck my baby dad. I hate my baby mom. I can't stand this job. I hate this job. I wish somebody would save me. I wish somebody would help me. And you here supposed to help and save people. Because all of the talent, all of the abilities, all of the skills are locked up in your chakras. Because when you talk about the soul, you're talking about a creative aspect. That creative aspect wants to express itself in this world. You, as a human being, could stop it because you got to work tonight. I got to work. I got to work, hood. I got to go to work. So, for those who don't know, the Akashic records are a spiritual concept that describes a collection of all thoughts, emotions, actions, and events that have ever occurred, including those of non-human life forms. They are said to be imprinted on Akasha. Akasha is Aaliyah. She is the last known avatar of Akasha, an astral light that is beyond the range of human senses. This is why they put her in that movie, and this is why she transitioned before the movie came out. Because they're real big on mythology, they're real big on science, and we unfortunately are not. And another reason that Beyonce and Jay-Z are big stars is because they've utilized this energy. Like, I know y'all be like, it's all bullshit, but you got to really start to ask yourself questions like, what was Jay-Z doing with Aaliyah? What was Jay doing with Aaliyah and Trine? Best of both worlds, meaning that they are one and the same. R. Kelly was married to Aaliyah. Jay-Z's business partner was her second fling, but at the end of the day, this broke up Rockefeller Records because it was Jay-Z that wanted to recreate the Sumerian, Babylonian. He wanted to do the Inky and Akasha thing. And she was like, if that's the case, I got to take you out. So it was a war. I know y'all probably like, what you talking about? What you talking about? Enkill and Akasha. Jay-Z and Aaliyah were the rulers of Kemet around 4000 BC. And I know you like, hood, that's not true. That's bullshit. Jay-Z and Aaliyah are recording artists. They are remembering their ancient talent, skills, and abilities in a present time. If you read out this mythology, Akasha, let's just read it out. Let's read it out together. When he and Akasha were attacked by assassins and had to die, a powerful spirit named Amel intertwined himself with Akasha's spirit as if it was leaving her dying body, and then forced their combined spirits back into her, making Akasha the first vampire. Akasha then turned to Enkill dying beside her and healed his wounds by replacing his blood he lost with hers, making him the world's second vampire. See, this is the mythology. Rock Nation signing artist is a vampiric science. I know that you're a spiritual being. Sign this contract, signed your soul over. They so bold about it, they don't even give that the profit first to even get any type. That's vampiric. Signing artists to Rock Nation, that shit's not equal. That shit's not a fair, square deal. And of course, he wanted to get her on that type of stuff. And she was like, I don't know this. It's like, all right, gotta find. Yeah, Leah ain't on it. Who else can we try? Let's do. I'm sure she'll do it. She desperate enough. The term "those who must be kept" joined by the vampire Marius, who of Akasha and Enkill. Marius learned that anything that befalls Akasha and Enkill also befalls all vampires. This is another thing. As melanated entities and energies, we are all connected. So this is a part of the Aquarian one another, because if you hurt, I hurt. If I fall, you fall. This is the difference between any other concept outside of Aquarius. Most of the time we think we just individuals and we can, but it never pans out the way we do. And at a certain point, being able to tune into the Akashic records in accordance with Saturn, it gives us our rules. It gives us our structure. It gives us what we need to do, not only for ourselves, but for the collective. If you don't know, you have to go within yourself to find out. And if you don't care to know, you probably going through too much heartbreak and your heart is broken. So now it's time to peel back the layers of all thoughts and emotions associated with this matrix and get into your previous lifetimes. This is all taking place in previous lifetimes, but in this mythology, in the Queen of the Damned mythology, these entities exist now. They exist in 4000 BC and they exist in 2024. I know y'all think that that's some fan fiction, not real, but you have existed in 4000 in BC too. You have existed in every year, basically. You have existed in all time. This is not your first lifetime. Was in the chat. If this is not your first lifetime, don't you want to know what happened in your previous lifetimes? Don't you want to know what's going to happen in the future? Wouldn't you want to go within yourself? The two live, their white skin merely becoming bronze, but weaker vampires throughout the world were destroyed by spontaneous combustion. The elder himself, who was a very old, strong vampire, became severely burned and then destroyed when Akasha rose to crush him and torch what remained of his body. At numerous points in their canonical history of the Vampire Chronicles, Enkill rises from his throne to defend Akasha from being drained of her powerful blood. In one instance, Marius rescues Lestat from being destroyed by Enkill after Enkill, in a jealous rage, rises and strikes Lestat away from Akasha while he is drinking from her. So, watch The Queen of the Damned, watch all of those movies to get, especially The Queen of the Damned, because they really just tell you what it's about. This all came to an end in the 1980s when the music of the vampire rock star Lestat roused Queen Akasha in her awakening. She killed Enkill, So that's more or less what I'm talking about. Like more or less like let's come together. And then I guess like when you're a psychic, you just know like, oh, that's not going to be good for you. So you have to figure out a solution. As I said, I'll just reverse the tide, draining him of all his blood as she felt imprisoned and dead around him. When Enkil's husk of a body is discovered by Marius, Akasha thanks him for his centuries of service, followed by imprisoning him in a case of ice, leaving him helpless at the shrine at the bottom of the house. Akasha became the single ancestor of the vampire race. So this is the story of the book. In the movie, though, they kill Akasha, right? So you can read the books, get into the science of it. But what is Akasha? How do we relate this to the recording and all of this stuff? Let's just look at. Fuck, might have to do something with this computer. Oh, here we go. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This is talking about Akasha. The words that you choose to use in reference to who you actually are going to be two different things. When you don't know who you are, the words that you use are just random sets of things that you just might say. But when you know who you are, it might seem like you just saying some random stuff, but especially if you have a real intention, like that intention is like you sat and you journaled and you came to a full grips of a concept, and you might think like, man, this can help somebody. From that point, you are utilizing the word and God's word, and you are changing your life and you are changing other people's lives. And anybody can do this. Like that is always been my message. That will always be like my number one focus, because you don't have to be special, have a college degree, you know, make money, you know, have a certain level of intellect. Like all you have to do is come down, go deep within yourself, really rising above the ego, going deep into your spiritual self, and fully understanding John chapter 1, verses 1. In the beginning was the word, and the word was God. The word was with God, and the word was God. The implications to this is simple to say the world that you create is created with your words. So if you create from the kingdom of God and you speak from the kingdom of God, and I just use that as a metaphor for a perfect reality, a great reality, a wonderful, healed reality where things is working out, you're united with your opposite, you're in prosperity, you know, you're free, you're in love, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you with your children, maybe you don't have children, whatever the case may be, you're in a perfect little set of bliss. Are you able to say that? Or are you saying things like, you know, I got to work. I've been working 2 jobs, man. I've been working 18 hours, man. I just been working. And it's like, is that your salvation? Like, what is your true salvation? Like, what is it that you truly want? And maybe working is the pathway to get it, but it's time to begin to create the overall aim for your life. If you looked at the previous video that I did on Blue Magic, where I'm talking about having a specific destination and being able to verbalize that definition, that destination in truth with your soul. So it goes beyond the point of if, it just morphs into when, right? When is this going to happen? And then utilizing the patience necessary to get to your ultimate and overall goal. So, with all of that being said, man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me this afternoon as we spew the hot garbage mumbo jumbo. I'm just trying to show y'all the article, which is going to be the first link in the description. Go ahead and read that, get into that. It's going by the same title as this video, accessing the Akashic Records, Saturn, Trine, Mars, Transit. Done kick me out my own party. How that work? I mean, so basically, what I was just saying for kick me out, have an article on my Substack. Link is in the description. It's titled the same name as this video, accessing the Akashic Records, Saturn, Trine, Mars, Transit. Um, just more detailed in reference to the things that I talked about here. More or less, Mars and Gemini, clearing the mind, Saturn and Aquarius, the season of discernment, because Saturn is a slower moving planet. So practicing discernment over this year, more or less understanding the difference between the spiritual world and the physical world, and knowing that you are the balance, because reality is whatever you make it, unfortunately or fortunately. And a lot of times people will say, how do I access the Akashic Records? I got you 9 steps on how to access the Akashic Records yourself, to whereas you don't have to pay somebody $1,000. This article is free. And if you're willing to do the work, once again, learning how to peel back the layers of the mental and emotional body to get to the truth of your soul is going to allow you to read and interpret the Akashic Records. Maybe you don't even realize that you're already doing it through the modality of dreams and visions, but now you have the awareness and wherewithal to know that you're already doing it, you're already in alignment. So, at the end of the day, with Saturn being in Aquarius, moving its way through this third decan, and especially Saturn going into Pisces, which would be kind of one and the same energy, what are you going to do for the collective? If you don't know, even if you think you know, because I'm a person on the side where I think I know, but the reality is that I don't know, right? That is the reality. I'm thinking about it, I'm brainstorming about it, I'm journaling about it, I'm attempting to provide value to the collective, but ultimately, what does it look like to do this at the highest level, right? And that comes from observing the Akashic records within myself. So, with all that being said, I hope that you do the same. One's in the chat. If nobody can do this work for you, you're going to have to learn how to do it yourself. One's in the chat. If you are able to learn, um, understand, and understand some things about your spiritual development through the modality, make sure you like the video on your way out. I appreciate everybody for y'all's support. But yeah, one's in the chat if you like the video, and make sure you visit the Substack as well. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. But I have to make sure that I stay on schedule, stay on point, because, you know, the day is just now beginning, still got shit to do. Make sure you exercise and make sure that you understand and understand that health is wealth, and make sure you utilize that body, engage that body, because that is the only thing you truly own, your body. And if you don't take care of it, who is? So with all that being said, man, y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.
Woo!
You are traveling with the Hood Mystic. Time to tap in now. You are now tapped in with the Hood Mystic. Your favorite mystic's favorite mystic. Your favorite astrologer's favorite astrologer.